Now, there's something about a family-run firm that seriously impresses me. Perhaps it's the fact I've got 3 brothers and couldn't imagine wanting to run a business with any of them. I'm at TC Harrison's Ford store in Derby to chat to its chairman about his firm that's managed to master it as it's celebrating 90 years in business. Few dealer groups reach a milestone as great as TC Harrison's 90th anniversary. The family business represents Ford and JCB and has had its share of ups and downs over the years. I met up with Chairman Jim Harrison, who's been working in the family firm for 40 years. Due to COVID restrictions, the interview took place outside the firm's huge Derby showroom and unfortunately next to a rather busy road. Jim, thank you very much for showing us around. It's absolutely fascinating to see your business. Perhaps you could tell me a little bit about it, and for those who don't know anything about your business, introduce it for me.
Yeah. My grandfather, Cuth Harrison, he used to be an automotive engineer back in the late 20s, early 30s. He was made redundant in 1931. And he decided, I want to set up my own business. So he started a parts and service operation in Sheffield in 1931 in May. He then started repairing Fords, and in 1936 he managed to get the Ford dealership for Sheffield, and that's where the relationship with Ford Motor Company started officially.
So you must be pretty proud to be celebrating your 90th anniversary. And what does it mean to get to that?
I am so proud of the family and what we've done. We've always treated it as a family business. My grandfather obviously was the chairman to start with, then my uncle Edward and my father John, they carried on. Unfortunately they both passed away quite early in their lives, and then the family carried on with myself as chairman. And I've now got my son and my daughter working in the business as well, so there's 4 generations now.
And with a family business, that obviously comes with its challenges. How do you manage working with your siblings? And
the challenges are that everybody expects you to be perfect, and nobody is perfect. It is very difficult being a family member coming into a big business. I did the same. I started at the bottom as a service mechanic, and I worked my way up. And that's one of the ways to do it, because you understand what people are doing, how they work, and you understand all the systems. And it is different with siblings because they have different traits. My daughter to my son are different types of people, so you've got to try and put them in the right areas to play on their strengths.
And talk to me about the makeup of TC Harrison now. I mean, you've got some Ford sites and also some JCB.
Yeah, that's correct. We have 2 major Ford areas, obviously Derby here and Peterborough. And they've got small satellite sites. Peterborough have got 4 and Derby have got 1. And then our JCB, we mainly cover the east side of the country, from Durham all the way down to south of Lincoln. And we have 6 sites for JCB. We are the oldest JCB dealer in the world. We forged a relationship with Joseph Bamford many, many years ago.
So this is an incredible site you've got here. It's on a huge footprint as well. Yeah. Talk to me about the performance of this Ford dealership.
We moved here in June 1999. It was a big site. We were a bit worried. My uncle and my father came in and said, "Why have we got an aircraft hangar as a dealership?" But it's worked really, really well. We've been in Derby since 1957 when we took over Universal Car Company. We've got a very, very good following through the public in Derby and around the areas. This dealership's always done well. It's a great place to work. It's a great place to look after our customers.
And how's Ford doing at the moment? I mean, we've just seen the figures recently for the last month. Fiesta has dropped down in the sales charts. Focus has dropped down. Yeah. Puma's accelerated. I mean, what are the challenges with Ford at the moment?
The challenges, I think, like most manufacturers are going to have, is getting hold of stock. We've had it over the past year. Obviously now the semiconductor problems are creating shutdowns in factories, and we will struggle in the 3rd quarter, I think. It's stock. And of course customers are now coming out of lockdown. They've saved a bit of money, some of them have, and they want to spend the money. They want to enjoy themselves, so they want to buy a brand new car or a second-hand car. So we want to help and buy the cars, but we're running out of them gradually.
And how's business been for you in the last year? I mean, it must have been your most difficult year in 40 years in business.
I think it has been an immense challenge. We've obviously had to furlough quite a lot of staff. We have lost the odd few staff now and again. But generally, we've survived, and we've survived well, and that is down to my staff. They have done a tremendous job through this pandemic. They've been brilliant. We've looked after customers as best we could. We've managed to do online sales, and we've done that fairly well. And the company came through last year with quite a good profit, although we did have a bit of help from the government.
And what do you enjoy most about your job?
The people in there is coming round. When I come to the dealerships, I love walking around, chatting to the mechanics, chatting to the salespeople, chatting to the parts people, and the management staff. And it's brilliant, and I get so much enjoyment just going around chatting to people and seeing how they get, what problems they've got, what they like, what they don't like. It's family. They're part of us. They're part of me.
And there's a lot of changes in the industry at the moment, isn't there? I mean, we've seen this acceleration of online sales. Firstly, on that point, do you think that's going to continue? Do you think this is a new way of buying?
Yeah, I think it will continue. I don't think it'll take over, because I think people still like the touchy-feely, looking at the car, driving the car. But I think a lot of pre-work's done online nowadays, where people will look at the cars online, they will spec them up online, and then they probably, if it's the same type of cars they've got before, they just order it online and then pick it up. If it isn't, they might want to come and drive it, or touch it, or look at it. But I can't predict how far it's going to go, but it is going to be more and more online sales.
And what are your thoughts on agency sales? There's a lot of manufacturers moving towards this agency sales model, where you'll be paid a handling fee for handing these cars over. What's your thoughts on that?
I still think we do it better. The manufacturers, yeah, there is a role for it, but I think at the end of the day, the customers know us. We know the Derby customers. They know us. They trust us. They still want to deal with us. I think the agency sales will be there, but I don't know how much that's going to grow either.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult thing, isn't it, for dealerships of this sort of size, where you've been able to be in charge of your own sales targets and how you push those cars. When a manufacturer's selling them on their website and you're simply delivering them, it's totally going to change the way businesses of this size work, isn't it?
Oh yeah. It's I mean, we've got 8 acres here. We've got to start thinking about what we do with some of that land, because it won't be used anymore. But the agency side. Obviously, Ford are trialling it with the Mach-E. How far they'll go, we don't know yet.
Talking about the Mach-E, the electric range of Ford is a little bit lacking at the moment, isn't it? Especially with the move that we're making towards 2030. I take you'd like to see some more electric cars in the range.
Yes, we'd love to. I think we're lacking a small car. I think Fiesta should be made electric as soon as possible, and I believe it's coming, because they've shut part of Cologne to electrify it for the electric vehicles. And yeah, the Mach-E is a fantastic. I drove it last week. I came in and pinched it for 24 hours. I said, right, I'm going to take it. And it is a great car. And I'm not saying that because it's a Ford and I sell them. It is a good car. And I'm really excited about driving it more often. And
TC Harrison's dabbled in other brands in the past, hasn't it? Have you got any plans to do that again in the future?
Car brands, we don't know. We've dabbled in Vauxhall, British Leyland and Rover in the past. We've predominantly throughout the 90 years, we've been purely Ford with a little bit of extra elsewhere. I believe our strengths lie in Ford. It's a good brand. It's always been market leader. It's done as well in the 90 years, and I can't see why we should change. We might look at other types of business. I don't know yet. We're evaluating things. We want to get through this pandemic first, and then look in the future.
What do you mean about other types of business? Something completely different to car sales?
We've looked at motorbikes. We've looked at cycles and things like that. I don't know. It's with a dealership this size, if the share of Fords drops, we need to fill it somehow. So we've got to look at other bits to put in the corners or in the other parts of the showroom.
And as chairman, is this something that you're driving, these sorts of changes as you go forward?
I'm very fortunate. My CEO, Chris Cornell, he's quite forward thinking, and he's got quite a few ideas. that he wants to discuss with us for the future when we've got all the pandemic out of the way and settled back down into hopefully normal dealership life.
And what do you think's next for the business? I mean, what are the grand plans for the next foreseeable future?
My grand plan is always, I'm looking for the next generation of staff to come through. We're always looking at succession, right? Who's going to take over from you when you retire? Who's going to do that? And it's growing the people and growing their skill set that they can take over in the future.
And you, being a family business, you must have had many approaches over the years from some of the big dealer groups, waving a big check in front of your face. Why haven't you taken the cash?
I love the business so much. I don't want to be sat at home twiddling my thumbs thinking, what shall I do next? I love coming into the dealerships. I love the fact that it's a family business. I want to pass it on to my children and their children, to hopefully they can have as good a life as I've had and my family have had it throughout the 90 years.
Yeah, and another 90 years to look forward to.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yes, super. Thanks ever so much. The coronavirus pandemic has been tough for businesses of all shapes and sizes, but for family-run firms, I can only imagine that it's been even more difficult. The decisions bosses like Jim have had to make can't have been easy, but by adapting and overcoming, they're clearly now looking to the future. For more videos like this one, log on to cardealermagazine.co.uk and click on the live tab at the top of the page. I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me. Goodbye.